Hello, everyone. This is Ben Blankenship, owner of Accuo Business Coaching and Advising, and welcome to another episode of Ounce of Wisdom. I'm joined today by my co-host, Kelly Fry. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Ben. Today is going to be a great episode. We are going to be joined by John Ratliff, who stays very busy, so I'm happy that he freed up some time for us. He's a seasoned entrepreneur and currently leads Align 5, advising growth companies and family enterprises on strategic issues, including M&A.
I tell you, John has been at this since 1995. He is passionate about business and people and value, and he has bought and sold, and in between that, developed some amazing companies along the way. He's a special person. I feel very fortunate to have him as a guest today. So with that, let's dig in. So John, welcome to Ounce of Wisdom. We are so excited to have you join us today.
Hi, John.
Hello. How are you guys?
Doing great. So the question for today is regarding an email that you sent to Scaling Up Coaches back in September of last year. And the headline was, "Would you buy your business from yourself?" And it was such a provocative email. It really got me thinking. And I was just wondering if you could just walk us through like how you arrived at that question and what it means for you, and maybe what our listeners and viewers should be considering keeping that question in mind.
Yeah, so it was interesting. The genesis of that question was we own and operate a co-working space in the Philadelphia suburbs, Westchester, Pennsylvania. And, we were contemplating a couple different service offerings and maybe changing some things around. And I walked in on one of the mornings when we were going through all that, and I kind of looked around and I thought, would I buy this business if I just walked in here today off the street and found out it was for sale? And unfortunately, the answer was a resounding no. I would not buy it at all. And then it kind of led me down a path. All right, well, what would have to be different here? What would have to change for this to really be an exciting opportunity? Which led to another question. If I did happen to buy this business today, how would I spend my first 100 days or 50 days or 10 days or, literally what would I do today or tomorrow? And in kind of thinking through all those different things, it opened up a whole new world of kind of possibilities about how to see your business with fresh eyes. And I think the reason that question matters so much is we invariably, especially if a business is 5 years, 10 years, 20 years old, we've probably forgotten more than we knew. And certainly we've forgotten most of the excitement that got us into it in the first place. And I think, that the propensity to get into a rut here and there, especially businesses that are moderately successful, that aren't really like stressing you out from a growth perspective, but they're not stressing you out from a finance perspective. They're just kind of meandering along. I think you can pick up some bad habits and sort of, bad ideas along the way, but they're not bad enough to create an existential threat, and they're not good enough to, radically change the trajectory of the business. And they just sort of linger around. Unfortunately, if you collect enough of those bad habits, one day you're going to walk in and do what I did, which was, no, I don't want to own this business in this form right now. So that's where the question came from. And I love the idea of seeing things that you see all the time, but through somebody else's lens or through a new lens or a new framework, and how that kind of, changes your whole mindset. So that's where the question came from.
I love it. And, John, you and I talk about value creation and the idea of how you create enterprise value in an organization. I think it'd be really healthy for entrepreneurs, for business owners, to ask themselves that question every single year. Would I buy my business from myself? And I think through that could be a great springboard for how do you improve your business? How do you lift up your culture and create, obviously not just culture, but culture and optimize your operations to increase enterprise value.
Yeah. And I'll take it even a step further, Ben. One of kind of the new mindsets that we've had, And it came out. I was giving a talk on M&A and how to think about, private equity and valuation. And it dawned on me that all businesses you can boil down to the fundamental of collection of assets and capabilities. And it's your unique set of assets overlaid with your capabilities to extract value from those assets that create all the value inside a company. So when you look at the business through the fresh lens, or the would I buy this, or what would I do on day one, or the first 100 days, then you can start to pick apart the individual asset and capability components and think about, okay, I have this, for instance, customer list. I have this database of customers that we do business with, and I can start to learn about them as an asset. But what capabilities can I either acquire myself or learn, or someone else might bring to the table in a partnership or an acquisition that can extract more value from my assets than I can? And I go back to the, why in the world would Amazon buy Whole Foods, right? I mean, Amazon was the disintermediator of brick and mortar, and then buys a brick and mortar company. When it happened, we all sort of looked at each other and thought, does this make a lot of sense? But now you look at it through the asset and capability lens. One of Amazon's biggest constraints was they wanted everything to be super simple, but returning stuff was hard, and they just didn't have the capability to solve that problem in an easier way. They buy the assets and capabilities of Whole Foods, and all of a sudden they have an overnight return brick and mortar network that makes the buying process at Amazon easier. In hindsight, it's completely obvious, but as it was happening, it didn't really make a ton of sense until you look at it through that framework. So that's why I think changing your lens, changing your perspective opens up kind of the creative process to see things in a different way that may show opportunity that you just weren't seeing before, that was there, but, wasn't at your kind of surface level awareness.
That's a great example of what we're talking about, John. It is such a pleasure to visit with you, John. You have dropped several nuggets of wisdom today. I'm very grateful. I hope our paths cross again very soon, and thank you.
Thanks, John.
Of course. Thank you both for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us today for Ounce of Wisdom. We are so grateful to our experts and hope that this episode has been helpful to you. We'll be covering a variety of topics through our channel, so please take a minute to look around, like, share, and subscribe. Is there a topic you would like us to cover? Please comment below or reach out. Do you need help identifying pain points in your business? Check out our resources at www.acuo-bc.com. The link will also be provided below. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on another episode of Ounce of Wisdom.